Welcome back, rock fanatics, to another episode of Rock Resurgence Radio.
Buckle up, because this time we're diving headfirst into a classic debate: David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar. Who was the better frontman for Van Halen?
We're talking about two iconic voices, two different eras, and a whole lot of rock and roll. Get ready for scorching guitar riffs, stadium anthems, and maybe a few spandex jokes along the way.
So which side are you on, Team Roth or Team Hagar? Let us know in the comments before we break down the arguments for each singer. Let's get this party started.
Welcome back to Rock Resurgence Radio. I am your host, Chad.
And I'm your co-host, Bergie.
Hey, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about a debate that's been going on for quite some time. We're talking to you Van Halen fans. Is it David Lee Roth or is it Sammy Hagar? We'll find out in this episode. We're gonna boil it down to see which singer we pick. And neither of us is
We're gonna talk a little.
We're gonna talk a little, and we're gonna debate a little bit. And neither of us has said which person or singer we're going with as far as our pick. So you'll find out when we find out.
All right. So first of all, we should talk a little bit about the history of Van Halen. So
absolutely, that's your department, Mr.
American
Chris.
rock band. Everybody knows Van Halen, of course, formed in Pasadena, California in 1973. Credited with restoring hard rock to the forefront of the music scene. 1974 to 1985, Van Halen consisted of Eddie Van Halen, Eddie's brother, drummer Alex, lead vocalist David Lee Roth, our first contender of the evening, and bassist and vocalist Michael Anthony. Michael Anthony's vocals are
very prevalent.
Yeah,
he is excellent. He's got a very high pitch. I mean, he had high notes that make dogs turn around.
He might be more integral to the vocals than whoever lead singer they put in there in some respects.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he is a big part of that. And, I mean, if you talk about Michael Anthony, he followed Sammy Hagar along and did Chicken Foot with them and
something else too.
Yeah, there was something else too, but I can't think of it. But the Chicken Foot stuff was really good.
It was.
So
then in 1985, Roth left, and I don't know the whole story. I do remember for sure that I read it in a magazine, either Circus or Hit Parader or Metal Edge, and I was 14 years old. I know MTV was around at the time, but I didn't have it.
I didn't have it either,
so I remember actually reading, and it was probably months after it happened.
Yeah. That was new to me too. But after reading it, and I remember more when 150 came out, and me and some friends, actually a friend of mine, Billy Madden, had it, and we listened to it out at his place. He lived just outside of town, like a mile, and we sat out there and just jammed it, like on a boombox, and I was like very impressed.
I found out before the album came out, but what I'm saying is,
I don't know the reasoning.
I just read it. It was literally a one paragraph thing in like the section of the magazine that talked about news and notes or whatever.
Yeah.
David Lee Roth out as Van Halen lead singer, pursuing solo career. He came out with that solo EP, Crazy from the Heat, which I liked. Had Beach Boys redo California Girls.
It's kind of funny because I was reading a little bit on Van Halen today, and they had this producer named Ted Templeton. He is kind of Templeman or something. Yeah, something like that. So. And he is very integral in them doing a lot of cover songs like Pretty Woman and and the article I read is Eddie was not very happy about that. He kind of wanted to write all original and keep it all original. So, that doesn't surprise me, but Ted and Dave seemed like they were into doing these cover songs, and Eddie was not, and I don't think the rest of the band was either, just the way the article kind of read.
Yeah, I mean, they had Pretty Woman on Diver Down. They had couple others too.
Yeah, I know. I can't think of them. It's
Yeah,
just killing me.
but
Well,
he had a
you
ton
really
of
got me on
covers.
their first album.
That Going Crazy, I think, was, or
Yep,
Crazy from the Heat.
yep.
I think, how many songs? I should have looked this up. There was probably 4 or 5 songs on there is all. I think half of them were covers, if not all of them,
Yep,
maybe.
yep. I think that is correct. But they did have "You Really Got Me" on their first album, which is a cover of the Kinks.
Mm-hmm.
So Eddie kind of got fed up with it, and that's when he kind of started creating the 5150 studio that is famous. The article I read said he started this doing the studio to kind of so he could kind of have more control over what's going to be on the record, and it was just supposed to be kind of a small studio, and it turned into a full-fledged studio. Um, Even
Templeman.
Templeman was pretty impressed with their studio when he got it done. But anyways, you know, I'll be honest, I didn't really listen to a whole lot of Van Halen growing up. My first real introduction to it, well, yeah. So my really good friend Paul Beater, he was a really good guitar player, and he got into like he was big into Van Halen, big into Hendrix, Eric Clapton, all this stuff. So when I hung around him, I heard some of it, and he played some of it. So I was exposed to it that way, but I never had their albums. The first album I had of theirs was 1984.
Yeah, I have a story about that too.
Go after it.
Um, how I got into Van Halen was 1984 as well. And I just looked this up the other day for not anything to do with this episode. I think this was even before we talked about this episode. But it came on the radio at work, something from that album. And I said, yeah, I think that 1984 is the album. I think that album actually came out in 1983. But I found there's two, somebody swears that it came out December 31st, 1983. But if you look on Wikipedia or any of those places, it says that it came out January 9th of 1984. So the album did actually come out in 1984. But I got that album right away. And maybe I've told this story before, but I went back in their catalog, and here's how and why I did. Columbia House Records.
Oh, the 12 for 1.
So I got 1984, and then I'm thumbing through my Hit Parader or Circus or whatever it was, and I'm like, oh, I can get 12 cassettes for a penny or whatever it
Yeah.
was, right?
Then you got to pay $23 a piece
Screw the
for
fine
6 of
print.
them.
I just saw 12 records for a
Well,
penny, right?
I've done the same thing.
Anyway, you filled it out, and you selected your favorite genre. And I remember, like it was yesterday, that there was a genre called hard rock, and it would be hard rock,
They list a
soft
couple
rock,
bands underneath, right?
yeah, classical, and it would list a couple bands underneath. Well, hard rock was Van Halen, AC/DC. I can't remember who the third one was, but I'm like,
Yep.
okay, I'm checking hard rock because that's my stuff.
Right.
And then I'm scrolling through to try to find out, well, what's popular in 1984 that I don't have yet. And I'm like, I picked 5 or 6 albums, and I'm like, well, I don't know anything else. So I'm like, well, here's some more Van Halen. I know I like 1984, so I picked up every single Van Halen cassette that Columbia House offered.
Yeah.
That's how I went into their back catalog from 1984.
Well, that's kind of a cool story. I don't have a cool story like that. I honestly don't remember I mean, I did buy some of the earlier Van Halen stuff. I don't know if I bought them all. I know I bought the first one. Um, well, I bought Diver Down. I know that, and I didn't really care for that one.
Yeah, I got that one off of Columbia House for sure, just like the
Um,
others, but
and I think I had Fair Warning also.
excuse me.
So I didn't have them all, but yeah, it's kind of, and we've talked about this before, where we're listening to a band, or we hear a band, like we talked about it when we were talking about Motley Crue. We both heard Shout at the Devil first, and then you go back and go, they had a previous album, so you go back and check that out. It's kind of similar with this, and I've done that with several bands where I've heard a later album, and then you go back and check out their discography that came out before that.
Right.
And yeah, I liked it well enough. I don't. The the thing that really got me was, you really got me. Um, the
Nice
thing
pun.
that really got me was the guitar playing, and I was kind of new to the whole playing guitar thing. It was about when I was starting to get into it, but like I was mentioning, Paul and those guys kind of had a little band together, and whatever. So I was always at practice, and I was always watching these guys play. And man, I was like, I was watching rock stars because they were so good. So that's what really grabbed me from Van Halen. And I mean, Eddie is still my favorite guitarist. I don't think anybody will replace him just because of his style. It was so different. And that's what really drew me into it. So that's why I listened to the album. And as far as it went, I mean, it was good enough stuff. It just kind of wasn't really hair metal,
Right.
you know. It's kind of just rock and roll.
Yeah. Hard rock, like Columbia House says.
Yeah. So, um,
But they definitely had some uh, flair and style of the
right.
80s hair bands, and a lot of hair bands, or whatever you want to call them, stole a lot of the stuff from Van Halen. I mean, the jumps that Dave would do, and
Oh man,
the
incredible.
spandex pants that he would wear.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. Very. That's the thing about David Lee Roth is his showmanship.
for sure.
I never got a chance to see Van Halen live, but I did get a chance to see David Lee Roth up at Rock in the Hills, and he wore tight green spandex pants. And the guitar player he had playing for him was note for note on Eddie's stuff. So I was very impressed. And Dave put on a hell of a show.
Yeah.
Um,
That
and
was probably 98, somewhere between 98 and 2004 or 5. We
yeah, yeah,
deduced to that
that
Rock in
dude
the
said
Hills
that's when
buzz.
it was. Yeah. So I have to give it. So I haven't seen Sammy Hagar live. I've watched video upon video of him live, and I've watched several of Dave's videos. So I kind of have an idea what they're like, and they're both very good frontmen.
He was just at the casino,
I went and seen that.
Sammy.
Sammy Hagar in the Circle.
Okay, so you have seen Sammy live.
Yes, I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
I've
him.
never seen him live.
And he did play a few Van Halen songs, and his guitar player was okay. I wasn't blown away like I was with Dave's. But shoot, Sammy's. I think didn't I say he was like 75?
He's over 70 for sure.
Yeah, and this was only 2 years ago, maybe
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. I
year or two.
remember for some reason I couldn't
Yeah,
go,
I went
or
to it, and it was it was a good show. Don't get me wrong, but I'm watching Sammy at 70 something, where I was watching Dave at 40 something or 50.
yeah.
You know,
And so going
so
back to the history a little bit, so 1985, he's out. He puts out the
Crazy in the
Crazy
Name.
from the Heat EP, and they replace him with Sammy. And I'd say Hagar. Maybe it's I've said Hagar. I'm gonna probably call him Hagar because that's just the way I am. Um, he was a singer in Montrose, and he had solo stuff,
Yeah,
which we'll come back to kind of I think when we do our little debating. But
I can remember. I Can't Drive 55.
yeah,
That
I
was a
just heard
huge
that
song.
song today, and it was me and you remember, well, Gary from work was standing there. Oh, this is a good song. He says
Yeah.
we have Ozzy's Boneyard on
Oh, okay. Yep.
my selection.
Yep.
And that's actually way better than a lot of the other stations because the Hair Nation, it seems like there's
Just
the same
repeat.
15 songs and then it starts over. And the guys have been playing this country channel once in a while, and it's like there's this song from Chris Stapleton, which whatever, he's fine and all. But I swear, every 15 minutes, what am I gonna do? That song, I don't know if you've heard it,
I
or
haven't
I
heard
can't
it.
sing, so I apologize for that. Maybe I should cut that out. But anyway, I'm like, okay, it's time to put on Ozzy's Boneyard.
Yep.
This song comes on, and I'm like, yeah, that's from I Can't Drive 55. That came out in 1984, and I'm rattling off all this stuff, and
Yeah.
or 85, I think it was. I just gotten my driver's license when I Can't Drive 55 comes out.
Yeah.
He said that I think he recorded another one. Uh, this kind of an inside joke, but you remember Dean.
Yep.
Dean told Gary that he recorded another one that a few years later, I Can't Drive 65. I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's
I
true.
think
I
Dean
think that
is
is
full of
Dean's fish story.
yeah, he does like the fish stories. But anyway,
Yep.
You guys don't know him, so we
Yeah.
probably shouldn't just randomly talk about people. But anyway, so 85, Roth leaves. They hire Sammy Hagar. And again, I read it in a magazine. And I'm like, I didn't, at the time, I'm embarrassed to admit this, that I didn't know who Sammy Hagar was. I didn't know who Montrose was. I end up getting that um, cassette with I
Sammy
Can't
Hagar.
Drive
Yep, yep,
55. I
yep.
think it was VOA, Voice of America,
Yeah,
was the.
I think that is correct.
So I picked that up and I loved it.
Hmm.
I went back and I'm going to get into that a little later because there's a Sammy Hagar album that everybody should have in their catalog. But we're here to argue
Which singer is,
which is more Van Halen, or who's the
well,
best frontman or singer for Van Halen,
and
right?
I guarantee you, if you polled 100 people that listen to this music, I would guess 85% would pick Dave.
I bet you it's closer to 50-50 than you think.
You think so?
I'm in a lot of these Facebook groups
So am I.
from 80s music,
Yeah.
and I see a lot of posts about Sammy is the much better singer.
Well, yeah, they always say that, but then at the end of their sentence, they say, "But I'd have to go with the original Dave."
Yeah, I
That's,
was.
I mean, I mean, that's the stuff I see online. Um, I do agree 100% that Sammy Hagar is by far the better singer, but I think Dave puts on a little bit better show live, just from what I've seen.
So
You know,
we're getting into it now. We're done with the history.
well, we can do whatever.
Well, so
This is
yeah, just
unscripted. We're just kind of
we are
something kind
flying
of
by the seat of our pants.
we do that. That's
So
what we do.
you just mentioned a good point about, Dave was there first,
Right.
and again, another work story. But I'm standing there talking to Jeff, and we were talking about something. What are you doing later tonight? I'm like, well, Chad's coming over, and we're going to record this episode. And there was a Van Halen song on, and we were talking about, oh no, it was a Skid Row song on, and we're talking about Sebastian Bach, and I just happened to say, well, when the original singer leaves the band, they're not the same to me. I can only think of one instance where it was the case, and it was Van Halen, but he reminded me, AC/DC,
AC/DC.
of course.
That's the one I thought you were going to say.
And I'm like, well, yeah, geez, dummy, yeah, for sure. But those are literally the only two I can think that just still carried on and were either just as good, or some may argue better, with the next
Right.
guy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there. And we were just talking about that with Anthony. About Warrant. I said we're gonna get together with him and do an episode, and we're gonna do the Janie albums because none of us really care for the stuff
Yeah,
that after Janie died. I don't really care.
but Van Halen was just different
Yeah,
like that. They worked with both guys to
they
me.
worked well, really well. And that same article I was reading earlier today talked about how Eddie wanted to kind of explore new instruments and stuff. That's why he started kind of playing the piano and stuff. And he wanted to, um, well, he really wanted to prove Ted
Templeman.
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 God, I can't say that.
M-A-N it ends with.
Templeman. He really wanted to prove him wrong that we didn't need a cover song to be a hit
Yeah, and
or to make an album
when you
great.
mention that, I'm looking at Sammy's albums,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no cover songs.
No, there are certain bands
So that
that
makes
do it,
sense.
and I like Metallica, my favorite band. They do a ton of covers, but they put it on a thing called Garage
Garage
Days.
Days.
It's an album of covers.
So on Ozzy's Boneyard today, the original Am I Evil song comes on from
Oh,
Diamond Head.
Diamond Head?
And I'm
Yeah.
like, this sounds like Metallica, but it's not. Oh, it's the original song.
Yeah.
So they play a good mix on there. Here
Yeah.
I'm.
I know we're off topic, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. We are in this for talking and discussing, and there's no script for it.
Music
It's
in
just
general.
yeah, it's just
Well, I'll steer us back to the
okay,
Van Halen thing.
Get her back. Get her back
So
on track.
with Dave, they did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 albums before he left.
Yeah.
After he left, Sammy did 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they got Gary Cherone for Van Halen 3, and then didn't put out another album till 2012 with Dave coming back.
Right.
So they did. Sammy left and they reunited with Dave, but there was a lot of stuff in between. You know, the Gary Cherone thing.
Yep.
We love Extreme. We love Gary.
I didn't like that
I
album.
actually didn't mind it that much, but
I wasn't crazy about it.
it's much maligned, as they say, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I don't give these things a lot of chances. If it doesn't catch me right away, I'm just like, yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah,
Because that's what happened with that album. I was like, no, I just don't like it, and I just put it away and never listened to it again.
that's fair. That happens for sure. I can think of other albums that I've done the same thing with.
Yeah, but it was totally different with Sammy with 5150.
Yeah,
Man, that came out and it was so different. There was so much synthesizer on, which I was really kind of against as a rock guy. I thought it kind of weakened the music and you're kind of being a wuss or whatever.
yeah,
You're
right.
like I hated
No keyboards.
yeah, like I hated Final Frontier. You know, I
Yeah,
didn't like
we
Europe
talked
because
about this.
yeah, because
Europe.
it's too many damn keyboards. But when this came out and it was Eddie playing, it was just different. There was something about it, and then the lyrics were good. Sammy's singing was good. It just felt right. There was something about it that felt good. And that, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. You know, he's talking about freaking aliens and
I love
oh
5150
my
a
god, me
lot.
too.
That it might be, if I had a gun to my head and pick a favorite Van Halen album, it could be that one.
Yeah, it's between that and 84 for me.
Yeah.
And two different singers, you know, one right
Yeah,
after the
right
other.
after the other in succession. I mean, that'd be a good versus episode. But with
Yeah,
this kind of what this is, it's Dave versus Sammy, even though
yeah,
it's not technically one of our versus episodes. We're just arguing for a singer.
yeah,
Um, I don't know. Yeah, it could be either one of the first two albums for me, or 84 or 5150. But as I'm
yeah,
looking at this now, they're like, I never got into OU812 very much. Cool title.
yeah.
There's some good songs
Well, you
on
know why
there.
that title came about? Because Dave put out an album says "Eat Me, Eat 'Em
Eat 'em
and
and
Smile,"
smile.
and they said, "Oh, you ate one too."
Okay.
That's how that came about. It's kind of a retaliation.
Eat 'em and smile is a fantastic album too.
That is pretty good.
And that lineup that he had is stellar. Steve Vai on guitar. Um, Greg Bissonette was the drummer. Billy Sheehan was the bass
Oh yeah,
player, and
Billy
then
Sheehan.
Dave. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
that's pretty doggone good.
it is. And I
Uh,
was just about to start my argument for David Lee Roth. And my argument was going to be David Lee Roth put out more albums, so there's more to choose from. And I like Sammy's solo stuff better. And then you reminded me about Eat 'em and Smile, how much I like that.
right. Well, I did a little research here, and I Van Halen albums ranked by sales.
Okay, let's hear it.
Um, Number one is Van Halen 1. 1978 sold 11,858,000 copies.
Probably 858,000 on Columbia House or so.
Yeah. Next one, 1984, also 11,777,305.
So really close.
Really close. Then, pretty big drop off. I was really surprised by this. 5150 is the next one. 6,009, just call it 6,900.
6 million.
6 million.
Has to be.
Yeah, 6,900,000. Sorry. And then you got Van Halen 2 at 5.3 million. And then number 5 is a best of volume 1. I don't really count that.
Yeah, that's
40,
fair.
40,
But I will
44 million.
bet you that all those I will bet you that Van Halen 1 and 2 sold in the probably a million or two before 1984 came out. I bet you not. I bet you 7, and I'm just guessing.
No, yeah,
nothing to
because that
back this up.
84 just hit and it just took off. They had 4 hits on that thing.
That was a breakout for them.
They had Jump, they had Panama, they had All Wait, and
Hot
Hot
for
for Teacher.
Teacher.
Yep, Hot for Teacher. That was their 4 singles, I think, off that.
Yeah.
And there's, I mean, to me, my favorite Van Halen song is on 84, and it's Drop Dead Legs. I absolutely
Yeah.
love that song.
It's a great beat.
Yeah, hit the guitar in there and the beat, and oh my God, I love that song.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is, I really like, okay, number 7, I'm just going to go real quick
Okay.
here. Number 7 was Diver Down at 4.1 million. Then it was Balance at 3.75. Then it was Women and Children First at 3.3. And number 10 for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge at 3.2 million. And then after that, it kind of dies off. But their last album, Different Kind of Truth, sold 40,000 copies.
40,000?
40,000.
I have one of them. I had bought it twice. Once on
It might be worth the
cassette,
money.
holy crap.
Yeah, and the Van Halen 3 only sold 700,000.
So that outsold Dave's comeback album. That's crazy.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I thought that was kind of crazy too. I looked at that and I was like, that's got to be 400. And I looked again, no, it's 40. It still says 40. I was like, what? A Van Halen album that doesn't sell over 500,000 is insane to me.
I find this really hard to believe that Sammy, I knew this at least. Sammy's been in the music business longer than Dave, at least as far as I can see. His first solo album came out in 1973. I was 2 years old. I mean,
Yeah.
so it's shocking that he had so many albums before. Um, Let me just look at this up. VOA. So I had his discography up here real quick. VOA was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, his 8th studio album. And then he
Wow.
had Montrose was his 73 and 74. Montrose and Paper Money. But I misspoke. His first solo album was 1976, but his first
What
recording with
which
Montrose.
album was Heavy Metal on?
That's on Standing Hampton, which I wanted to mention that
Yeah, is that the one you were
that
saying?
is my favorite Sammy Hagar album. 6th studio album, released in 1982. So I didn't even know who he was in 1982,
But you went back
but I went back. I actually,
because of I Can't Drive 55 or because of Van Halen?
one of my Navy buddies had this album, and he was like, "This is the best Sammy album ever."
Okay.
So we listened to it in his car when we went places, and I really got into it.
I I I didn't buy much Sammy. I bought the one. What's the one with Give to Live or something like that?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
We can pause and I can figure it out, and then we can.
No, it's not a
Okay.
big deal. But that's the only one that I. That's the only one that I bought of his besides VOA. I think.
Well, if you look at the, and it's funny, no Sammy covers with Van Halen, but on Standing Hampton is a cover of Janis Joplin's song "Piece of My Heart."
Okay.
Great version. But if you look at some of the names of the songs on there, you've heard a lot of these songs. "I'll Fall in Love Again." One of them, that might be the one, was on the Vision Quest soundtrack back in the day.
Okay. I remember that movie
There's Only
was.
One Way to Rock, Baby's on Fire,
Yep.
Can't Get Loose, Heavy Metal, Baby It's You. Good album.
Yeah.
So, but I was going to argue, I like Sammy's solo stuff better, but David Lee Roth is Van Halen. But I love Eat 'Em and Smile so much. Yankee Rose.
Tobacco Road.
Yeah, just good tunes on that.
And as far as it goes, so you're picking David Lee Roth.
I am going to pick David Lee Roth, and a lot of it is the nostalgia of he's the guy that was in Van
Right.
Halen first. That he original lineups are a big deal to me,
I do agree.
and I don't know why. Because Sammy's awesome.
Well, we're
5150 is
gonna
great.
do AC/DC, so I'm not gonna ask you that. We'll get to that at one time. Bond versus Brian.
Yeah, that's a fun one. I don't know if I could pick.
That's a really really tough one because my two favorite albums again back to back.
Yeah, Highway to Hell and Back in Black.
Yeah,
Yeah, two different
two
singers
different
right in a row,
singers.
just like 1984 and
Yeah, Just the same damn thing.
Yeah, just two
It's
big
kind of
hits
weird.
though, and I'm shocked those numbers. If I mean I don't know what Van Halen sold for total albums, but I would have figured it was 100 million.
Mm,
But
no,
it's a lot,
it's a
and
lot.
11 million is nothing to sneeze at. But
No, it's probably between 50 and 75 million.
yeah,
So it's it's pretty damn good.
and I guess like I don't know what the all-time best-selling album is, but it's probably like Michael Jackson Thriller or something. Do you think that's like 20, 30,
Well, shit, I
40?
think the Black Album is over 20
Yeah,
now.
one of the ones we talked about, maybe it was the Metallica episode where it was like 28 million or something
Yeah,
like that.
something
It was a
crazy like
lot.
that. Yeah,
3 times as many or almost as Van Halen's best. That's hard to swallow for me
yeah,
because they were so
that's
good.
insane. I know they were so good, and that's the thing about these albums is these came out when people still bought albums.
Yeah,
So the numbers have got to be right because that's all tracked.
yeah.
Today in today's market,
Today you
then
put out an album,
you put out an album and they might just grab 3 songs off of it and be done. You know, that's But when I do it, I 98% of the time, if I'm gonna go get something on Apple, I get the whole album
yeah, me too, for sure.
because I just don't believe in this onesies and twosies thing.
I've never been a one song guy.
No,
Back in
you got to listen to the whole thing.
like before my time, like my mom's time, say, and my dad's time, they'd go to the record store and
Buy
they'd
the
buy
little
a
40
single.
45.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they heard, oh, that's a cool song on the
and then
radio.
it'd have a B side.
Right,
Yeah,
that's it. You get
yeah,
2 songs for I don't know what it was back then, but you remember the
22
little
cents
single
probably.
cassettes?
I do.
I think I bought a couple of them,
I did.
and
I did.
only because sometimes they came out before the album, and I
Right.
wanted to have it.
I know this is way off topic, but like this Sebastian Bach album, he keeps releasing a single every once
Yeah,
in a while. Drives me nuts.
yeah,
I'm like, just release the whole goddamn thing.
yeah. I want to listen to the album from start to
Because
finish.
because I'm gonna get sick of these songs, and I won't want to listen to those when the rest of the album comes
Yeah,
out.
you'll be skipping over those
I
3.
know. I'm like, God dang it, that drives me nuts.
Oh,
But anyways,
we're in the same boat. We feel the same way, anyways, as far as that goes.
yeah. Um, I am going to. I'll give a little. Well, I kind of talked about it. I didn't really get into Van Halen until 1984 because I heard Jump on the radio, and I was like, wow, that was really cool. And I think that they played the beginning, the 1984 part, on the radio as well. I'm
Well,
almost positive.
I think yeah, they may have.
I'm almost positive they played that intro on the radio. Because, I mean,
It might have
because
been part of the
Jump doesn't,
video,
yeah,
like
Jump
the
doesn't
video
really,
on MTV.
isn't really Jump without 84 in front of it, to me.
Yeah, if you pulled up the song and we could do that, just if like on Apple Music, and if I just played Jump, it would sound okay to
It
me.
would sound okay, but it's just, yeah, that's why I don't know, because they're separated. If you were gonna make like greatest hits or something, you'd have to put those two together.
I don't think so.
Oh God, I would.
But I know what you're saying. That's how so the album opens up with the synthesizer at
Yep, yep,
1984. It's just kind of a futuristic sounding,
yeah. It
like
sounds really
30
cool.
or 45-second maybe
Yeah,
intro or something. You
yeah,
keep talking, I'll pull it up
yeah.
just
And then
to.
it jumps into the Jump, and then it just sounds like it goes together. So, to me, I would think that if I was making a compilation album of their best hits and like they have done, and I didn't pay attention to it, but I think it would sound weird if 1984
Well,
wasn't before that.
let's play Jump just from the
From
gun
the get
for
go?
1 second
Okay.
without 1984, and then we'll go back and 1984 is actually a minute and 8 seconds long. I don't think it played on the radio prior to the song Jump, but I know where you're going or why you feel that way.
I feel like that. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm messed up. I forgot.
But so okay,
Yeah,
here's
1984 is that
1984.
kind
Yeah,
of weird stuff, and yeah,
you wouldn't listen to this for a minute, 8 seconds, and then But when
No.
you listen to the album, like we like to do from start to finish,
Yeah, it just goes there.
it goes there. Yeah, for
Right.
sure. Just
Yeah.
like when Jump ends, Panama kicks on. Like
Yeah.
that's where you're thinking of listening to the album, I think. But
Right.
anyway,
Well, you got that pulled up. Just throw on Drop Dead Legs for like a minute of the song for me because I just absolutely love that song.
okay. The intro, the guitar intro is
It's
great.
so pretty.
Is it cowbell coming in?
It's rim. Oh yeah, that's cowbell at the end there. He was doing 2 rim shots. I think.
Yes.
There's just nobody that plays guitar like he does, which is why I love it so much. It's just, you know, it's so different from what other people were doing. Yeah, that's good. I just had to get a little dose of that because
It is very good.
I
Every
just
song on this album's good.
yeah. There's a couple that I'm like, it's okay.
The
But
last couple, I guess,
yeah,
Girl Gone Bad, House of Pain, I could
yeah,
live
yeah. I could live without those.
But
Yeah, but
up all the way through to All Wait. And I think All Wait was the B-side for the single for Jump. And it actually ended up being released
yeah, I
as a
think it
hit,
ended up,
too.
yeah,
Ended up being
kind
a
of,
hit.
yeah, exactly. Because I do remember that on the radio as well. I remember that one very well. But yeah, I mean, a 1984 album. If you haven't heard the Van Halen album, it is good, and that's with David Lee Roth. And then the follow up to that is after David Lee Roth was out, and they jumped in with this new guy, Sammy Hagar, and it was awesome. It was a lot more keyboardy and a lot kind of more poppy, and I'm surprised I like it as much as I do because I'm such a big guitar guy and there was way less guitars on it. But when they had guitars, like on Best of Both Worlds and um, 5150, that I love 5150. That song
Yeah,
kicks royal ass,
it
and the
does.
guitar stuff in it is so good.
Do should we?
Yeah, we
I
should.
love the way this album opens up to it good enough. Just
Yeah.
hello,
Oh,
baby. Like
yeah. Hello,
that might be a
baby.
good way to start the episode.
Yeah.
Oh, it's tough. You
Oh my
want
god.
5150 real quick?
Yeah, that's good. And summertime, what is it?
Summer Nights.
Summer Nights. That's another good one. See, this guitar stuff is just insane. It's just craziness. And it's so clean. And then if you watch their videos live, he does it live as good as he does it on the album.
Yeah.
It's just unreal. And he does it while smoking a cigarette and jumping all over the stage. That's another thing about it.
Should I?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Let me. Yeah, so we just 5150, awesome song. It opens with Good Enough, and I want to play it for just a second.
Absolutely.
Hello, baby.
I think Sammy was just introducing himself to
Yeah.
to us right there.
I know. Isn't that what it sounds like?
Yeah.
Hello, baby.
Yeah, here I am.
Here I am. I'm the new guy, and I'm
And I'm
gonna
gonna kick your ass.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick your ass with this first song.
And it did.
It did. It really did.
It wasn't a hit, surprisingly.
It wasn't a hit. What were all the hits on this?
So Why Can't This Be Love, I think, was the
Love?
first one that was a hit. Love Walks In, of course, was a hit. Dreams was a hit. I don't know if Summer Nights was a single or
I don't know either.
not, but a great song.
Yeah, I mean this album. The only one I wouldn't. There's the one with the kind of gang stuff or whatever. Not the gang, but
Inside.
Yeah, that I didn't really care for that one. It was okay, but other than that, that was the only song that I didn't care for.
Is there only 9 songs on that album?
That's it, huh?
That's what it says on my Apple Music, but sometimes my Apple Music's missing something. It just seems like it was a bigger deal than 9 songs. But
No, that Inside was the last song I know. So
yeah,
but yeah, that's the only song I didn't really care for. The rest are just awesome. And with that being said, because I got into Van Halen late, I kind of gravitate towards Sammy Hagar, I guess.
So
I,
we're gonna disagree on something.
yeah, I think so.
And
Because
it's
I mean, not no disrespect to Dave. Dave's weird as shit though. That
yeah,
guy is weird. I swear he's gay.
yeah.
Just the way even that picture he had pulled up of me looks gay.
Oh, in this, yeah,
I mean, he's just flamboyant. Very, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I swear he's gay, but I don't think he is. But I mean, nothing. Not that there's anything wrong with being gay, but it just he's so weird.
yeah.
He just acts so weird.
Flamboyant is probably the better word, but then that's part of the reason
Yeah,
why
yeah.
I pick him is
Well,
Dave was the guy who, if you
started it all.
if you were to define the word frontman, Dave was a frontman. Like,
He was,
is he the
but
best singer of all time? No.
no, he's not. But
But for Van Halen,
it
for
worked.
me, he is Van. I mean, obviously Eddie and Alex are the real Van Halens.
Right.
You know, that's their
So
namesake. But
here's what I looked up. So for David Lee Roth, the arguments. So I use AI once in a while, and I just say, give me some talking points about Dave versus Sammy. So this is what Gemini AI came up with. It says for David Lee Roth, showmanship and stage presence. Dave's undeniable charisma and theatrics brought a wild energy to Van Halen's early sound. He was a born entertainer who captivated audiences, and that is spot on. That's what he brings to Van Halen, and he really is. I mean, when I see even in the later after when I seen him up at Rock in the Hills, fantastic entertainer. You got the crowd into it, just good.
wait, this is AI that wrote that.
Yep,
Did you ask AI who was the better?
I
Uh,
didn't. I
okay,
could.
curious what they say. But AI is artificial.
Yep.
Smarter than both of us probably put together, but they can't feel the music like Chad and I can, or um, you can watching or listening. So your take is Sammy and my take is Dave, but nothing, like you said, nothing against Dave, nothing against Sammy for me, because I love Sammy, and I guess part of it is just Dave was an original, and that's my pick, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah. Well, AI doesn't pick one either.
Yeah, I didn't think it would, but
No, it just gives you more points about David Lee Roth and his style versus Sammy's style, and um. But let me just read a couple more of these things
okay,
because I thought they were pretty cool. And then it says originality in songwriting. Dave's lyrics were often witty and playful,
very
setting
much
the
so.
tone for Van Halen's iconic early sound. He co-wrote many of their classic hits. And then the next bullet point is vocal range and style. While not a powerhouse vocalist, Dave's unique high-pitched delivery perfectly complemented Eddie Van Halen's guitar work. So I think that AI did a pretty good job of describing that because I thought that was pretty spot on. Now for Sammy Hagar, it says vocal prowess. Sammy is a proven rock vocalist with a powerful range and soulful delivery. He brought a new dimension to Van Halen's sound. Next bullet point is songwriting contributions. Sammy co-wrote some of Van Halen's biggest commercial successes.
That's not.
That's not, yeah.
Well,
Panama,
AI is stupid
yeah, AI is
sometimes.
stupid, but it would be like Love Walks In and blah
Yeah.
blah blah. Musical versatility. Sammy's influence allowed Van Halen to explore new genres like blues, rock, adding depth to their sound. I don't know that that's
Yeah.
actually correct because
So,
they were more bluesy
well,
before.
AI just said that he wrote some of Van Halen's biggest
Yeah,
hits, like
yeah,
"I Can't Drive 55." Well, that's a
yeah.
Sammy original,
They were
but
they were pretty spot on with Dave. A little off
yeah,
on
that's a really
Hager.
good point about the witty. Like he had the banter, like the
Yeah,
"Come on, Dave, give me a break, one break, come,"
yeah,
that kind of stuff, and the reach down between my legs, and then there's a little pause, like, what's Dave doing, reaching down between us? Oh,
yeah,
he's easing the seat back.
yeah.
He did
The
have
one
that little.
the one thing I gotta mention is on Hot for Teacher. There's a mistake in it, and it drives me nuts every time I
We
hear it.
talked about this, I
Yeah,
think,
we did
before.
talk about this. He goes, "Oh, the clock must be slow. I don't feel tardy. Well, the clock would be fast.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you
So
were
it's a,
tardy.
yeah, if you're tardy. So your class starts at 8:30 and but it's showing 8:40.
Yeah. So you're late.
You're late.
So
So
I'm tardy.
yeah,
But
so
only because the clock was
fast.
fast. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, it just drives me nuts. It's one of those little what is that called? OCD things. Like,
Yeah.
I hear that song, I love the song, but it gets to that part and I'm just like, oh, you dummy, you
Yeah.
screwed that up. You could have re-recorded that. We
Yeah.
could have probably re-recorded
I'm
this
I'm
whole
going
thing.
through it in my head. Maybe there's anyway. But yeah, good point.
Yep. So back at it, I guess. Like I was saying, I got into it in '84, which was Dave. That was my first big exposure to Van Halen. Loved that album. Absolutely love it. I think it's, well, in my opinion, it's Van Halen's best work with Dave. And I think 5150 is, they set the standard right out of the gate with Sammy. I thought that album was excellent. I really like Balance,
Yeah, me too, actually.
and I really like For Unlawful Carnal
Good
Knowledge.
songs on there
Yeah,
too.
that Top of the World song and Right Here, Right Now. Oh my God. That Right Here, Right Now is a really good song. And if you haven't seen the video for that song, you should watch it because it's very kind of powerful.
Yeah, that song "Pound Cake," that's on "For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge," right?
Yep. That's one where he plays a guitar with a drill.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I didn't get that at first, like the title of the album. Did it?
Fuck.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. It didn't put it together when I picked it up the first time in the rack. Like the initials spell
Yeah.
fuck
Yeah. Yep.
for unlawful carnal knowledge. But, okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. No,
And I didn't know that cool fact about OU812.
yeah.
Live and smile.
Yeah.
OU812.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Read that in an article in probably Metal Edge or Hip Raider or Circus, one of those things.
I read a lot of those,
I did too back in the day.
tons.
I kind of read them right in the
I had
pharmacy.
them, just stacks of them.
See, I couldn't
You
have.
read
I
them
could.
at the store and put them back on the rack.
Yeah, that's what I did. Because I didn't have money for them.
That I shouldn't even tell this.
My neighbor owned the pharmacy, and he'd see me over there reading them. But his name was Dan, and he didn't say too much. Every once in a while, yeah, if you're gonna read any more, you got to buy it. And then I'd go, and I'd come back another day when somebody else was working, and kind of finish it up. And
I don't know if I told this story before, so stop me if I have, but I'm not a musician.
right.
But I did. My folks signed me up for piano lessons when I was a kid.
No, I haven't heard this one.
And piano lessons were at this gal's house. And I would go there. Actually, it was a couple different teachers I had at one time. So I did play the piano a little bit. But sometimes I wouldn't show up for piano lessons. But my folks sent me with money to pay the teacher at piano lessons, and sometimes I skipped out and went and bought a metal edge at the grocery store. Or the other thing I shouldn't admit to is at Craig's Jack and Jill in the little town of Sherwood, my folks had a charge account. And my dad said, yeah, if after school, if you want to get a soda and a candy bar, yeah, go ahead. Sometimes I'd get a soda and a candy bar and a circus magazine.
Nice.
And I was not smart enough to know that my dad's going to get the bill and see, you bought a candy bar and a Coke and it cost you $5 or $6 or whatever it was. Well, prices at Craig's are kind of high.
Yeah. Because those, if I remember right, they were like $1.99, $2.49, something like that.
Yeah, I think in the end, I was probably paying close to $5 for one of those.
Yeah.
When I was actually buying them with my own money.
Yeah.
In the early '90s, whenever they went defunct, like Metal Edge went away after a while. I think.
I wish they still had those.
I think they have some still. I think Hit Parader might still be a thing. Maybe not.
Maybe not. I don't know.
I know Cream is still a thing. If you ever read that one, or
I didn't read that.
I don't think that was more dedicated to.
That sounds less like music and more like something else.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
A Prince song is what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, it was Cream, CREEM. Like it was like more like a Rolling Stone or something like that, where it was more
I'm not a
music.
big fan of Rolling Stone. I
Me neither.
subscribed to it for 1 year because it was some sort of deal, and
Promotion thing or
yeah,
something.
and I was like, this is stupid. It's not even about music, really.
Yeah.
There's very little about music, and it's just I don't know. I just hated it.
We're going
So
off on a tangent here, but
I know.
because I'm thinking about it, I saw one of those memes on Facebook where it was happy 40th anniversary to MTV. Thanks for 14 great years of music videos or something.
Yeah,
That's so same kind of thing. The magazine got away from being more about music and more
yeah,
about other stuff, politics and
yeah.
whatever BS. Like MTV got away from the music,
And started doing
reality
reality
shows and shit like
shows.
that.
Yeah. So yeah, we're way off on a tangent.
So we should wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Chris, he chose.
No.
I got him talked into
I chose Dave.
it.
David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth, DLR. And he
Yeah.
did have some great solo stuff. The DLR band, Eat 'em and Smile, one of my all-time favorite albums. Like I bet if I had to pick a top 25 albums, that would be in it, I think.
That wouldn't be my top
I
25.
love it.
I love like 4 songs on it.
And Sammy had some great stuff too as a solo artist, but even though I almost said Sammy, Dave's my pick.
Dave's your pick. And I am going to go with Mr. Sammy Hagar. I just got into more Van Halen then, and that's the only reason why. I didn't listen to the early Van Halen that much. I listened to it enough to know what it's about, but it wasn't something that I put in my tape deck and left it in there for days, like I did with Van Halen 5150 and a couple of the other ones. So that is why I picked Sammy Hagar. Both are good. Both did a damn fine job in Van Halen. They both made great songs. They're different, but that's what makes it cool. That's rock and roll.
Diamond Dave,
Sammy Hagar,
Red Rocker.
the Red Rocker.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sammy Hagar is, he's gone on to do some cool things. He's got a bar called Cabo Wabo, which was a song on
Well, yeah, which guy would I
812.
rather hang out with? I think Sammy for sure.
Oh, God, yeah. I'd want to strangle Dave.
You probably, yes, for sure.
He is just a weirdo.
He's a little bit of a nut.
I don't know. I think he's got some mental issues, honestly.
Could be.
Like he's bipolar or something. I don't know. He might not be, but he sure acts like it.
Yeah, he's a different cat for sure.
Definitely a different cat. So, anyways, that's our picks. That is our episode. Just a couple things. If you like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe. We're begging you. I do have merch in the description. Click on the merch. One of these shirts. This is one of my shirts that I designed. I got probably about 9-10 designs on there right now. You can put it on a shirt, a bag. I bought a coffee mug with a design on it. It's all kinds of stickers. So check it out. It's cool. Even if you don't buy it, that's fine.
Yeah, and like
Just go
most
check
of
it
you,
out.
I haven't bought anything off there yet. But always say I need a coffee mug for work. Tonight. I'm gonna go on and buy a couple things.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So do that. Like and subscribe. That's about all I got.
okay, I got a couple of things.
Okay.
I usually just wrap it up by say thanks for watching, and I'm going to do that. But I want to talk about just real quick a couple of things we got coming up. We got a collaboration we're going to do with a gentleman called Hair Metal Guru. Check out his channel. And then this isn't finalized yet, so I won't name any names, but there's a local band that we might do a little something with, possibly a live episode. And that's maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks down the road. So just keep watching.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about it in our next couple episodes or so.
Yeah, we will. We'll know more after this weekend.
Yeah, before this video hits the YouTube, we'll know what's going on. But
yeah, we'll know what's going on. But it's some exciting things coming for Rock Resurgence Radio. Like you said, we won't name names, but a local band. One of the guys is really into our stuff, and he helps promote us, and which is awesome. So we're
wore
looking
one of your
forward to
cool shirts at his last show.
at his last show. He actually bought a Rock Resurgence Radio shirt and wore it up on stage. It was really cool. He gave us a shout out at the show. Really appreciate it. So that's coming up. You know, we're working on bigger and better things. We're gaining knowledge and getting a little bit better with each episode. We still go on rants and get on tangents. That's just kind of what we do.
Yeah, someday we
so-
might go to a more of a 2-camera setup or even 3-camera setup.
Yeah,
But right now it's
a
what you
one
get, what
straight
you
on.
see.
Yep, and you know, maybe down the line we'll start scripting it a little more and try to be a little more organized. But this is kind of fun. It's just kind of
Yeah,
yeah.
I
You
can
never
edit
know
out
what's
some
gonna
of our banter back and forth, but I think that's kind of what makes it fun to watch. Like you're just sitting on the
you don't know
couch,
what the hell we're gonna say.
listening to a couple of guys talk about rock and roll,
Yeah.
80s hair bands a lot. We went into some Van Halen, and I know Chad likes some newer stuff. And I mean, who knows? We might be talking about Slipknot or something one day. Or
Yeah, you know, I mean, I got into all that stuff. Not so much Slipknot; they're a little on the heavy side. I do like uh, Corey Taylor as far as his side project.
Stone Sour.
Yeah, Stone
Yeah.
Sour. God, I was drawing a blank there. I like that stuff, and he's done some other stuff. Corey motherfucking Taylor. So we'll talk about some of that stuff to make Chris listen to it and make his ears bleed.
Yeah, and that might happen. They might bleed. I'm
Yeah.
pretty set in my
I know
80s hair
but,
metal.
You know,
But I do have a few other favorites and some newer stuff. And speaking of that, I just got notification today. I'm getting the new Vane album. It's
Awesome.
shipped. So
It's
we'll,
shipped?
we'll do I'll
Holy
share with
shit.
you, and we'll do a review on the new Vane album soon too.
Yeah, I gotta check into Vane. I've tried several times.
I'm really excited about it.
I know you are. That's why I want to listen to it, because I want to be excited too.
Awesome.
So, anyways, we're gonna wrap it up right there. Stay golden, pony boy, and rock on. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We really hope you enjoyed our content. If you did, please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. We'd greatly appreciate it. Links to everything we discussed will be included in episode notes. Feel free to check those out as well. Until next time, stay golden, pony boy, and rock on.